Okay, go ahead. I think I got it in my system. That spirit come upon me. I got to flow when it come upon me.
Fight it. Okay, yo, hold on. Oh, okay, here we go. What's up, everybody? Welcome to As We Walk podcast, man. This is Shawnee here with my brother Darren, and we got another fire episode. Part two of fatherhood. Now we discuss having children and what that has done for us and to us, and some things that we see now having kids.
What it did to us.
And what it did to us and growing up without fathers and trying to navigate that space. So without further ado, hey, I'm going to put it in the hands of the Hunters Point Prophet.
Oh, God.
Okay, man. Come with it, man. Let us know how many kids you have and, God's wonderful choice blessings and the babies and all of that greatness.
Oh, okay. So, first of all, I'll say we married. Let's clarify this right now. Let's make some clarifications right now. So, married. We had our first child a year into the marriage.
You ain't waste no time.
God was good and faithful. He was yet faithful. He was yet a keeper and faithful. So we ended up having our first child. You know what? It's one of those things. Like, I don't think fatherhood is really ever anything that you. I grew up in a 2-parent home. I had my mother, had my father, and they had a system. And I think growing up, I had my way of thinking, okay, well, when I parent, I'm going to parent exactly the way that they did. And, it just completely different.
Don't work like that.
Y'all made this stuff look easy.
Come on.
Y'all made this stuff look easy. Do y'all see all these grades that y'all probably the grades that come in? So, in total, I have 3 children, all by the same woman. Praise be the name of the Lord. And that woman is my wife. Praise be the name of the Lord. So I have 3 children. I have 2 girls, and that last child came out like Superman. Literally, he came out fist with his fists clutched. Came out first, yes. Came out like Superman, and that's a boy. So so 2 girls and a boy. And this is gonna be an adventure. It already is.
Come on now.
What about you?
I have been blessed to have 3 children, 2 boys and 1 girl, and that little girl came out with the fire. She was born on July 4th, so she's fireworks.
Yeah.
And then I have 2
Shout
boys.
out goddaughter.
Come on, man. Their ages this year is going to be 16, 10, and 7. And they are crazy. My sons are meatheads. I love them dearly, but they're in that stage where they're like, Dad. I'm like, just use a little bit of your brain, please.
Yeah.
And my daughter is 7 going on 35. Smart, just a critical thinker. She acts just like her mom, but with my goofiness.
Yeah.
So I, too, have a little bit of gray up here. I don't know if you can see it, but my salt and pepper, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm getting started. But it is a adventure, bro. Yeah. So let's dive in, all by, my wonderful wife. And yes, I too am married. Praise be unto God.
Testify.
No, we're not gonna have any more. Shop is closed.
You know what? Let's stop right there for just a quick second, because it don't stop. Every time you have a child, it's always like, when you have another one? When you gonna have another one?
You have another one?
Oh, this one, get out the way for that one. God. Folks, stop putting that on us.
You know what I'm gonna start telling people? Go adopt a child. Okay? If you want another baby so bad, go adopt one.
Stop trying to live vicariously through us, okay? Well, yes, because we done too. Yeah, 3 is enough.
Shop is closed.
I do want to retire one day. And I want to retire in good health.
I want to retire in good health and enjoy it.
Enjoy it, yes.
I don't want to start all the way over, though.
Listen.
My oldest is 7. Starting all the way over, bro?
I ain't Ubering at 80, okay? I am not going to be driving no Ubers at 80. I am going to retire in good health. Yes.
Listen, I got god kids, okay?
Yeah.
Ezra being one of him, right? So his son is my godchild, right? Shout out to my sister. She just had a baby. Well, my wife's best friend, which is, we call her my sister, Zay Zay. She just had a baby. Her daughter's our godchild. I'm good.
Yeah.
We got godchildren now.
Yeah.
I can hold my little baby, spoil them.
Yeah.
My biological sister had a baby. My nephew, I can spoil them and send them on their way. I ain't got to worry about staying up with them at night.
Yeah.
Listen, my kids have gotten to the point where my oldest can watch the youngest, and me and my wife could, go out and experience dates without having to try to find babysitters and work that out now. You think I want to go back?
Whew, never going back.
I ain't going back.
There's nothing to go back to.
I feel like Harriet on the Underground Railroad. He's not going back.
We not.
I'm not going back,
Not
bro.
going back.
All right, so let's navigate this space, bro. We talked about on the last episode, the issues that fatherlessness has, given us. But now the roles have changed, and so we went from being the fatherless now to being fathers.
Well, I'll say this: I wasn't fatherless.
Yes, yes.
For me, I wasn't fatherless because I grew up with a father, just not my biological father.
Not the biological.
So for me, my father that I grew up with was and who I still have in my life and blessed to have in my life. My father was a great example. I mean, you're talking about somebody that just I probably will sing his praises for the rest of my life. Just because my father was such a great example. Like you talking about somebody that went to bed late, working for the house.
Yeah.
And got up early morning. And even when we got into teenage years and stuff that needed to get done, just getting stuff done. I mean, just on a few hours of sleep, working to make it happen. Never complaining, never doing that stuff. And so just an example. And as a child, I'm just picturing in my head, I'm going to be exactly like my father when I have kids. My dad is so patient with us. We were just, we kids. He was patient and he just, he ain't want to raise his voice a lot. He just calm demeanor, just,
Yeah.
But when he speak, you go listen, And so I just, so he just made it look so easy for me. I just like, okay, I'm going to be exactly like my dad. I'm going to do this.
That's how I'm going to be.
Yeah. And it's been a lot more challenging. It's been a lot more challenging than what
God had other
like.
plans, bro.
Yeah, but you know what? I have to say, I love fatherhood. And not only that, for fatherhood for me, let's just start from the beginning of it. Is just that, number one, just that whole process of actually walking through fatherhood for the first time with your wife. That's just like, for me, it was one of those things where I was just like, okay, wrapping my head around, okay, I'm going to be a father. Okay, she's pregnant now and she has all these cravings and all these different things going on and what this is going to look like and how this is going to feel. So for me, I had to kind of really, anticipate how this is going to look. And it was exciting, and I remember when we had our first child, I was so paranoid. It was I was like so like you go through all the classes.
As we all are.
They got you going through the classes. You learning about Sid, and again, like I talked about in the last episode. Then they kind of putting those statistics in front of your face. So you're talking about like African American kids are babies are more at risk for SIDS and all this stuff. And so I'm just like,
don't you lay that baby on his stomach.
And then you got all you got all the wisdom coming from you. Lay them on the back, lay them on their stomach, lay them on the side, put a pillow up here, don't put a pillow on there, make sure, that
milk ain't working good enough. Get that baby a little bit of Caro syrup, get that baby, what?
So you try to work through all this stuff. Our first child, I didn't get no sleep. My wife didn't get no sleep, because I think I was waking up every few minutes, looking in that crib. I want to make sure she was breathing.
Yeah. You breathing?
So it was just,
you all right?
So it was just that, oh my goodness. So it's all that excitement, all that fun of just that, and then going through the process of them being sick, for the first time, dealing with that stuff, and it's that first child just a blur, just because you got all the stress and all the worries, and you want to make sure that nothing goes wrong. And then by the second child, I was like, we got this.
You raising yourself.
Yeah, that second child, you just feel a little bit more confident. You just like, okay,
right.
we got this. That's all right. You know, the first child, you panicking about everything that they do. That second child,
They get a little coffee and
that ain't gonna hurt them. That right there, they okay right there. That's all right. But that third child, they in the hands of the Lord. I'm wiser.
Come
I'm stronger. You in God's hands.
Lord, I'm giving them back to you. Okay,
back to you.
Thank you for the blessing that you gave me.
Do as you will. No, but learning to it, and then it's easy as they are children in the toddler stages and stuff like that. It's easier, should I say, at least for myself. But then when they go into that whole talking and kind of setting in their ways, I had to learn very early on. Oh, I have to parent my children in different ways.
Yes,
because they're completely different.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was one of like my first lessons. My first child, she would let us do everything for her. She just, she let you, put her shoe on. She let you do all this, and she, mommy and daddy, and she hug you and all that stuff. That second child, she was Miss Independent. Her favorite words to us was, "I got it, I got it, I got it." And I'll start feeling useless. I'm like, no, let dad do this.
What am I good for?
I got it. No, let dad do that. I got it. Let me help you eat this. Okay, come on. Let me feed you. I got this. That was like one of her first words. I got this.
I got it. I got
it. And she said she started to do so much herself and want to do stuff herself. And so, just learning about how different my children were. So that's one of the first lessons. Okay, I want to have to parent these kids different. Did you experience that?
Yes, yeah, without shadow of a doubt. So all three of my kids are different individuals, and I think they have a little bit of me and my wife. Like my oldest, Josiah, he'll be 16 this year, like I said before, and he is goofy and crazy, but also very reserved. If he does not know you, he's just quiet, gives you, you ask him a question like, "How are you doing today?" "Good." "How was school today?" "Good." All right.
Man, a few words.
It's a man, a few words, but when he's, around you and he knows you, he's just like, crazy. Israel is me through and through, just extrovert, goofy. I see a lot of myself in him. And then my daughter she's just me and Diamond to the 10th power. She's just everything. She is bossy. She's goofy. She's super smart. When the boys get in trouble, she be coming back behind my wife and be like, "Sorry, bud. Try it next time." It's just crazy. But even with them, like they're three different people in how they receive correction.
Yeah.
I'm learning now, like my middle son, Israel, he is like me in the fact that he is in tune with his emotions. He is a man, you know me. Yeah. I'll cry in a heartbeat. I'm in tune with my emotions. If something hurts, if something is exciting me, if I'm getting happy tears. No, you're not. You're as cold as ice. No, you're not. So, like I said before, because of a different episode, me and his wife are exactly the same, right? Him and my wife, exactly the same. They are two cold biddies, okay? You can watch the saddest movie and they'll be there like, man.
I just don't cry easily.
Okay, yeah.
I just don't cry easily, but okay, go ahead.
Yeah, but he is in tune with his emotions and how I talk to or how I father Josiah. I can't father him like that. And I think the biggest challenge for me having kids was my patience. Like, let me digress. I too grew up with father figures, right? Shout out to my grandfather, RIP to him. Great man, like you said, because about, Pop, work hard, never complained, right? Had a lot on his plate, but didn't complain about the food that he had to eat off his plate. He woke up early in the morning. Mind you, he went to work at night, so he worked at nighttime. He was a supervisor for the United States Post Office. So he went in at 10, would get off at like 5 or 6, right?
Yeah.
Come home. So we stayed in Vallejo. He worked in Oakland, came home, made sure that, we were fed breakfast, took us to school. My grandma would wake us up because she worked throughout the day. Her, my mom, and auntie would carpool, and they would work in Frisco and Oakland, right? So they would wake us up, make sure that we was fed, and then they switched off. So he would take us to school, and while we was at school, I guess he would get his rest because when we came home around 3:30ish, he would have a snack for us. We do our homework, and he'd be up and make sure that dinner was started. He was a cook in the Navy, so he loved to cook. And he would make sure that he ate dinner with us every night. Then he would go back to his room, get about a good hour and 30, 2 hours and a good night of sleep, wake up, hop in the shower, and go to work.
Yeah.
Things need to be done around the house. He's off on the weekends. I want to sleep in. No, he still had that Navy in him. He'd get up at the crack of dawn. It's funny because the neighbors next to us had roosters, and they would actually, early in the morning while it's still dark, and he'd get up from that. Like that was his alarm.
Yeah.
Start his coffee up. Just a man in everything he did, how he dealt with people. He too was slow to anger, slow to speak, quick to listen, loved his wife, loved his family, loved having get-togethers. Like he really showed me like what a father, a husband, what a man, a brother, a friend should be. And I was fortunate enough to have him. And then shout out to my uncle. I was fortunate enough to have him in my life too. My uncle Dante, he stepped up and he took us in, and he showed us what a man should be. He's from New York, so he's kind of more, brash and blunt. And he was a martial arts fighter. He ended up becoming it was past a black belt, like a red belt trainer, and so he was always, brash, and he had hands and would teach us different things. He taught us, how to be tough, and how to, love on your family too, and how to provide. He's a hard worker. And so I was fortunate enough to see that in my life. But like I said before, not having my biological father there, it did leave some scars. And so one of the things that I realized that I have to work with is my patience.
Ooh, yeah.
It is my patience, because I too told myself, I'm going to be just like my grandfather. I'm going to be just like my uncle, realizing that my wife is neither my grandmother or my auntie. So I can't be them.
Right.
I have to be who God called me to be for who he ordained for me to be with. And man, with my children, realizing that they're three different individuals. And sometimes I want to just, give a talking to them, this way. I just want to just, boom, this is how I'm going to say it. But I can't.
Yeah.
And I think that part sometimes makes me like, because I just want to just, generally talk to all you guys. But Josiah responds in a way that Israel doesn't.
Yeah.
Israel responds to ways that Journey doesn't. Journey responds to ways that both of them don't. And I have to consistently and constantly remind myself of that. And even with their mistakes, like I'm like, come on. But I have to be patient.
Yeah.
And there's been some eye openers for me. Like me and my wife joke about it, but we have a home where they ask mama for everything, because they know dad sometimes didn't have patience, or dad used to be like, nah, like you already had another snack, and mom was the cool parent. And so we had this running joke, and it's still going on now, that she could be asleep and I could be in the kitchen with them. They go into the room, Mom, can I have some juice? She'd be like, go ask your father. And I'd be like, why you didn't ask me? No, because like sometimes you be saying, no, Dad, and I just want some juice. And I'd be like, listen, I'm fair. If you already had 2 cups of juice today, drink some water, but that's just part of being a father. So that was one of the challenges. Let's put it back on you. So what are some of the challenges that you're facing?
Well, I'll say this. One of the things that I think that we have to talk about in this episode, as we're talking about parenting and our own styles of parenting, is I think each passing generation always puts the pressure on the next generation to parent the same way that they have, or to raise kids in the same way that they have done. And though my parents honestly didn't do that to me, I as far as society and even as a culture, I think that we do that a lot of times.
Facts.
It's like, you got to raise these kids this, you got to do that, don't let the kid do that, don't let the kid do that, have them do this, have them do that, have them do this and do that. And I think that one thing that we always forget from one generation to the next is that, like I said, I thought fatherhood was gonna be really simple because my dad just made it look easy.
I got
But
this.
one of the things I had to realize is that you parenting in a different generation. So, my father was parenting me and my mother, they were parenting us in the 90s. Well, I'm parenting in a whole different generation. The
Yeah.
world is different. Technology is different.
Access is different.
Access to different stuff is different. And
Yeah.
also just society is different.
Mhm.
And so there's a lot of things that that honestly, as I was growing up, I didn't see a lot of stuff that now is just on display.
Yeah.
And a lot
Things
of
that were taboo back in the days are now normalized.
right.
Yeah,
And so
true.
there's things that, man, I didn't have to deal with
Right.
back at, growing up. Me and my sister had we didn't see this stuff. We didn't hear this stuff. This stuff was just not the norm. It just wasn't, it wasn't the norm for kids to be doing drugs at school. It wasn't the norm to watch kids just physically assault children. I mean, to assault teachers and other children, and and be disrespectful and just overall, that was like rare to see that. I'm not saying that you didn't see it, but it was very rare to see that.
Yeah.
Now we didn't grow up in the in the 90s. You didn't have social media wasn't there.
Yeah.
So you didn't see what everybody was doing all over the world all at the same time. So these things were just very different. Now our children are starting to see these things. You may have had your celebrities that you liked and different artists that you listened to and things like that, but you didn't know what they were doing at all times. Now you have so much access to them. It's not
I know
only
what you're doing. Yeah.
Not only just my favorite singer, my favorite rapper. Now you get to see everything that they doing, and and then also with your peers. So then also, you got cyberbullying and all these different things that are happening. And so we're having to navigate in a different society. I'm having to learn to parent in a different way and navigate in a different way than what I also was raised in. The world didn't look like this in the 90s.
Yeah.
The world didn't, America.
That's good.
California, the society was not like this.
It's different, yeah.
So it's completely different. So just having to have to navigate, have to navigate through that, and also have to and also just putting the limitations also on my children as well, having to limit them to where there were some things that my parents didn't allow us to do. And I thought that, they were so strict growing up. Like, I thought, they strict. They don't let us do this. They don't let us do that. And they say, oh no, them people, y'all, they do that down the street. Or your friend, it's not your friend's house. Like you can't do that here. And like, you don't really get to always understand, like, okay, well, why can't I do that? But now that I have gotten older and I raised my own kids, I say, okay, now I see why y'all didn't let us go to people's house, didn't let us just go over anybody's house. Now I know why, if we did go to somebody's house, who I'm saying was not a relative, you guys really had to know them.
I need to talk to them. I need to come over and see. I need to,
It was, nowadays, kids just go over other kids' house.
Yeah.
The parents ain't even talk to each other. You ain't never even set eyes on them. You don't even know who the parent is. Growing up, it wasn't like that. You had to know, not only did I have to know you, I had to actually really know you.
I had to know how you living. Yeah.
Right. I got to know who come up through your house. I have to know the traffic in your house. I got to know what's going on at your house.
Are you clean?
Right.
Okay. How many cats and dogs do you have?
Do I got to spray these kids down because you got critters coming up because they're not going over there?
Does your friend have older siblings? Yeah. Is it a boy or is it a girl? What are they like?
Yeah, your parents, they didn't even let you eat over. You ain't eating over at nobody's house. So it's just completely different. And I think also just having to keep up with what's going on, and especially as African-American men, trying to raise children. That's the other thing too. When you grow up in this whole concept of society that black men are not there for their children.
Yeah.
And now you are black men that's there for your children.
Right.
That you're raising your children, and you're raising your children with your wife.
Yeah. Do you feel pressure because of that? Like, how can I ask this? Is there a pressure, or maybe not pressure, but is there a thought in the back of your mind that says, I have to beat this statistic? I have to be better than what they are expecting for me to be. I know for me, it's something that I dealt with, and I'm free from it now, and thank God, because it was dictating how I actually parented, and even, how I was a husband and not. But saying that I have to be more than what society is panning me out to be. I'm a black man. I'm married. I have children. We are both in the house. Society already says that I, didn't have my dad in the house, so this may not work out. I may not be a great father. I may walk out, on my spouse. I may walk out on my children. And so kind of living with that, and also living with, what my father didn't do, I would constantly I'm chasing or running away from not being what they were. If you get what I'm saying, like I always parented as this is what I'm not going to do.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be like that. I'm not going, and in me doing that, I started to create bad habits and turn into what I said that I wasn't going to do. So, because I say all that to say, did you feel like some type of pressure of saying, okay, I'm married, I have children with my spouse, same home, like society already says that I'm, not this, I have to do better because I want to prove them wrong?
I didn't necessarily feel pressure from society, because by the time that I, was married and started having children, I'm saved now. So then I'm living according to, I'm living my life according to scriptures and what the Bible says that a father should be and a husband should be. So I hear what society is saying, but I don't necessarily even agree with what society has set for the standard of a father, because I think the bar is very low.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's just you present.
Yeah.
You just there in the house, and I had to learn that very early on. That my wife helped me to learn that very early on.
Yeah.
That just because you're here don't mean that you're here.
Present is not presence.
Yes.
At all.
Yes.
At all.
So, I had to learn ways to like engage my children, talk to my children, have fun with my children, actually just be there. Some days, yes, so as far as the pressure in that sense of there, no, I didn't have that kind of societal pressure of that. But there is pressure that comes from other people, comes from the church, comes from family of, you got to be doing this, you got to have that. You guys ought to be having this by now. You guys ought to be doing that by now.
Yeah,
These kids ought to got to be doing that, and you should be here. And financially, you should be here, and you should be there. So there's always going to be pressure coming from that. But then it's a choice for me to say, do I need to bear myself under every person that wants to put their own goals and expectations on me?
That's
or
good.
do I look to my wife and say, this is our goals, these are our expectations, this is what we have said, this is what we want to be and what we want to do?
Yeah.
Because I want to make sure I don't also pass that down to my children. And so what I've had to learn, even like with my children and stuff, is, in teaching them how to kind of, live their life, and grow. The Bible talks about, parents, not provoking your children to wrath, and also raising your children in the fear and admonition of the Lord. And so we already have a task that God has given us as far as raising our children. And, it talked about even in the Old Testament when they were given instructions on teaching their children the law. He said, you walk by the wayside with that. You put that in the, before they go to bed, and when they waking up, you remind them of God's law. You put that on the forefront. So putting that really on the forefront of my children's mind of, okay, this is what a father should be, because I want my children to know the standards of what the word of God tells us that they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
How is children supposed to act according to God's standard?
Yeah.
Because that's what's going to matter.
Yeah.
How does a father act according to God's standard? I want you to know that too, because I don't want this to be one-sided where I just tell you guys about how kids supposed to act because it benefit me.
No.
But I want you to also know what my role and my responsibility is scripturally.
Yeah.
So that way you can know what my responsibility is, what your mother's responsibility is. Because don't hold us to what your friend and has going on at her house.
Right. What you see on social media,
or what you see in social media.
Yeah.
Don't do that, because then you go put undue pressure on yourself to be able to perform according to other people's standards, and you can't live there.
Right.
Because you're always going to just be, you're always going to crush yourself under somebody else's roles and expectations.
That's good.
So really, but I think I had to learn very on again, to be actually be present. Get involved. Find out what's going on. Don't be one of the fathers that just sit there
I'm here.
and just and I'm here and I'm sitting on the couch and I'm watching the game and eating Cheetos and just relaxing and just kicking it. Don't nobody say nothing to me, and and I'm going to the room and that's it and I'm done for the rest of the night.
Yeah.
But actually get involved, conversate with your children, find out what's going on with them, find out what's going on at school, listen in to the conversation. One thing, just by listening, I think that's probably one of the best tools that I've learned in parenting. It's not even really what I say. It's not even really a bunch about the conversations. Just by I've learned so much about my kids just from listening.
Yeah.
I learn so much from them daily just by listening. I listen to not only to conversations that what they're telling me, but also conversations that they have with one another.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
How they handle each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How they deal with each other. They talk about what's going on at school amongst themselves.
Yeah.
So I could sit there and just listen.
Just listen.
And guess what? If I don't jump in and try to, I let them keep on talking. Cause dad listening.
Yeah.
And I'm finding out some good stuff, and I'm also finding out things. Okay, I need to pray about that stuff.
Yeah. Or some things that's like even how they handle conflict.
Yeah.
And listening to them, and then you're like, where did you get that from? Or why are you spazzing out? Or why are you crashing out? But I've watched you, Dad.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh man, there may be some things that I need to do better.
Yeah.
Like you really can see the reflection, through your kids. I love what you said about not trying to perform to somebody else's, standards and expectation, because at the end of the day, this is not a performance. Like this is real life, and we have been blessed with a golden opportunity, to be parents. We've been blessed with a golden opportunity to actually raise and shape, a human being.
Yeah.
That in itself is surreal. Like going through the process of pregnancy to seeing them being born is nothing short of a miracle.
Yeah.
And then you're like, all right, God, what do we do now? Like I have this little human, and then to watch them grow and hit developmental milestones, and then, learn how to think for themselves and then have their own opinion. I am now in the realm of teenagehood.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm working on patience because I thought I was good with children. I'm good. Now there's a whole nother level of grace. We go from glory to glory, right? There's a whole nother level now with having a teenager, because he has some ways now that he is starting to get set in. He's viewing the world through his perspective based off of, things that he's been through, based off of stuff that he sees every day. He has different access to things, and even navigating through life as a young Black man.
Yeah.
Different things that I've dealt with now, he's dealing with. And so I'm learning how to try to be, a father, but also be there for you.
Yeah.
Like it's one thing for me to just be like, boy, this is what we need to do. No. But now I have to be something that I didn't have. And I think that is sometimes the hard part. And I'm grateful for it because it's challenging me.
Yeah.
And I love my kids for that because they're challenging me to be better. And I feel like God uses our children to help sanctify us also. And so I'm loving this season. Me and my wife, we try to implement family dinner, right? Every night. And we always, ask all of them, how was your day? What did you love about your day? What did you hate? Was there anything that you want to talk about? And this season is kind of difficult to do because all of our kids are active, with, baseball, softball, gymnastics. So, getting it. But even still, when you pick up them from school, how was your day? Let's talk about this. Let's talk about, what hurt you today at school. Because if there's some things that hurt you, like my daughter, she has this best friend that lives down the house. And I guess one day her friend was going through something and she didn't want to play.
Yeah.
That hurt her. But I can't be like, oh, just get over it. We got to listen to how did that make you feel?
Yeah.
Why did that make you feel like that? Do you feel like she's not your friend anymore? No, I think she's still your friend. She was just going through some things. You don't know what she's going through. Let's have a conversation with her, maybe tomorrow or something. And And so just being able to be there for them is nothing short of a miracle.
Yeah. And I also say this, like, the idea that we are what we're doing now and how we're raising our children, like, we're responsible for our children, but also we're setting the trajectory of the rest of their life.
Yeah.
That's a weight
Mm-hmm.
for any parent.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about in God, outside of God, you saved, ain't saved. I don't care who you are. If you are a parent, what you're doing, what you're instilling in your children, what they see you doing, what they don't see you doing, all of that, you are setting the trajectory for the rest of their life.
Correct.
And that is a huge weight. And if you don't see it as a weight, if you don't see it as a glorious responsibility, then you should.
Yes.
And so, I often think about, even growing up in church, because, born and raised in the church. And often I remember growing up, again in the 90s, it was very uncommon for parents to come to church and their kids not be there. But nowadays, it seems to be like a norm.
Yeah.
Where people will come to church and they don't bring their children to church. Like, they literally they're in church in a church service and their children are literally at home.
Yeah.
Doing whatever they're doing. And I think that's so unhealthy. Because these same parents that do that, and I'm not trying to bash nobody or dog anyone else, but I'm talking about that we're setting the trajectory for the rest of their life. I think that there is there's a responsibility that we have to walk in,
mm-hmm.
that we have to recognize that these are the formative years for them.
Yeah.
And what are we teaching our children as far as priorities and what's important?
Mm.
If you come to church and you leave your kids at home, or if you serve in ministry or even if your children are going to church, but then you on a ride back home, you talking about the church, talking about what's going on, talking about the mess, and your kid all in earshots of your kids, and your kids are listening to all this negativity about the church and this one doing that and that one doing this. Well, what are you really teaching your kids about the church? What are you teaching them about the things of God?
Yeah.
You're not giving them a high view of God or the church that was his idea.
Yeah.
So, I think that we have to also look at the spiritual responsibility. I often remind myself that the biggest responsibility that I have is to prepare my children to stand before God. And I don't know when that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But when that day comes that they have to stand before God, I want to be able to instill in them and give them enough that they'll be able, that when that time does come that they have to stand before the Lord in judgment.
Yeah.
That they able to stand on some of the foundation that I was able to give to them.
That's good.
And that's a responsibility. So I have to. So now I have to. So I can't allow them to watch anything. I can't let them listen to anything. I can't let them just do whatever they want to.
Yeah.
I have to challenge some of these ideas that they're hearing at school, because that's a responsibility. I have to get you guys ready to stand before God in judgment. That's what he's made me responsible for.
Yeah.
As the head of my house. And so that's a huge responsibility. But then also when you look at that, it also is sobering as well.
Yes, it is.
It'll make you start doing things that you necessarily even you too tired to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, I often think about our kids are serving with us. So it's not that we just serve in ministry. When we go to church, our kids go to church with us. We get them involved in serving with us. We make it a joyous time for our children to serve, because it's not about serving the church. It's not about serving the pastor or serving. It's about we're doing this unto God. We're serving God.
Yeah.
And it's not even all about the church, because if we just go to church during the week, and we go to church, we're going to the Bible studies, and we're going to the all-night prayers, and we're going to the Sunday church service, and then you come home and dad living like a devil, and he mean, and he this and he that, then I haven't given you a great example.
Come on.
But my children, I have to they have to see this is a life lived.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to live in a way that my kids desire to live this life.
Yeah.
I want to live a life. I want my kids to know that when they close, that if I'm not still here when the Lord return, which I pray I do, but if I'm not,
you want to be one of those called up.
When you close that casket on dad, I want whatever that I've been able to teach you. I want you to say, this man taught us a lot.
Yeah.
I want you to know that I did my best. I taught you and instilled into you, and and you've been prepared. You have enough. You know enough about God that whatever this world gonna look like when y'all are parenting, you will be able to raise your children and teach them godly principles in the life that they're going to be living in.
Yeah, I love that.
That's a huge weight, and I don't think we talk about that enough.
Huge. Well, I don't think we talk about it enough, and I think there are most men who are present in their children's life, I think, deal with that weight. Whether you're spiritual or not, it's a weight that I am responsible for the trajectory of your life. You know, like I said, once you have that baby and you're holding that baby, it's like, I'm responsible for you.
Yeah.
And man, thanks be unto God that there's been times where I'm like, man, Lord, I don't know if I'm doing enough. I don't know if I'm doing a great job. You know, and then I'll get my daughter and my son, Dad, are we going to church this Sunday? Like longing to go, excited to go. My daughter asks questions about Jesus and theology all the time, and not realizing that she's 6 right now, right? But she's hearing different things at school that is contrary to what we're teaching her. And so she wants to know, you know, did Jesus rise in 3 days? Did he die and come back? You know, what's the power of the cross? And even my son, he's 9, but what they're facing at school, they're dealing with witchcraft. They're dealing with, you know, neo-spiritualism. They're dealing with these different nuances in religion and people that don't even believe. And he's dealing with, you know, because his name is Israel, and he's dealing with different bullying on the side of, you know, Israel and Palestine, because in their conflicts. And so he's like, you know, why would you name me this? What's the significance of Israel? I thought they were God's people. Why are they doing this? So having to navigate that, but not looking at it as like, oh, we have to talk about this, but really a opportunity to teach and instill in my kids that, hey, this is why. This is the gospel. This is the good news. This is what the Bible says about that. And you can be confident enough to stand in your own 2 feet, flat-footed in your beliefs, and to see that they're doing that. Like, God, thank you. Like, it's sobering and it's rewarding also, because it reminds me that, hey, when it's all said and done, these humans that I helped raise can be adults of integrity, both men and women, and can stand 10 toes down in their beliefs.
Yeah.
And live this life in a way that is pleasing to God and that I desired for them.
Right.
So, you know, kudos to all the parents out there, fathers and mothers, you know, who are doing their job.
And I want to say you could do that with joy in your heart, like that. You could do this with joy. You could create memories. I'll share a little short story. I remember my wife was going to a women's conference, so she was going to be away for the weekend, and so I had the girls, and at that time we just had the 2 girls, and so I had to prepare them for church. I mean, I had to do some hair or whatever. So my wife tried to set up as best, but remember, she left on a Friday. By Sunday, their hair looking all kind of ways, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there trying to prepare them for church, and I'm like, okay, I can see them, and I'm getting them ready and stuff, and we sitting up there just talking, and we just laughing and stuff, and I got one of the girls in the bathroom, and my oldest is sitting there talking, and she's like, Mom, do it this way, and I'm sitting up there trying to do her hair. And so, oh, Mom put this stuff in our hair with like a foam type, you know, like an edge control or something, I think it was. And so I'm sitting there and I'm sitting there talking, and we sit up there just laughing, and I'm putting it in her hair. And my daughter she's smelling something, and she said, and then she looked at it, she said, Dad, that's not the edge control. You put a hand soap in her hair. I have put the hand soap, which was right next to the edge control, in the girl hair, and it was both foam. So I'm not even realizing that now I got
Bath and Body Works inside your head.
Exactly. And that's what it was. Bath and Body Works hand soap all up in her hair. And I'm telling, and we laughed about that until the day. They still remember that, and we still laugh about that.
Memories.
So you create those little memories even when you ain't trying to.
Mhm.
You know, we did the Disneyland trip. Remember
Yeah.
that we our families went together for Christmas.
Yeah.
We took the kids to Disneyland. Memories created. We still talking about all the stuff that happened. So, you know, I think that people have this idea that, you know, raising your children in God and raising your children, like, you know, this gonna be, you know, you don't get to have fun and it's gonna be boring. This is the best life.
It's amazing.
Our kids are enjoying. They're not missing nothing from not being a part of what the world is doing.
Yeah.
They're not missing anything. They're actually able to enjoy it, and this is the best. They're getting the best part of what real and true joy is.
Facts.
And you create those memories all the way. You know, of just being silly with them, going to the park, just doing stuff. And somebody may say, "Well, I don't have the money to do this, and I don't have the money to do that." You don't have to have money to do that. Just walk down the street with them.
Yes.
I mean, in a pandemic, that if that didn't teach us anything, in a pandemic, you just learn how to do.
You just learn how to do.
How to do with just what you had.
Come on now.
It was a walk down the streets that we did every evening that was enjoyable.
Yeah.
You know, it was just going to park or just going to just do something, you know, with them and just getting them out the house and it was just going to the beach.
Yeah.
You know, to just do something and get them and find and create those memories. You know,
that they hold on to.
And while you they hold on to it. And while you create those memories, you ain't thinking, I'm trying to create memories.
Yeah.
You just living and you just enjoying life and doing, and it just happened naturally.
Yeah.
And you still laugh about it. You still talk about it. I'm a big Christmas person.
Me too.
I love Thanksgiving. But to me, it's like the whole holiday season. But Christmas is like the holiday season is the big thing.
Creme de la creme.
So my kids know the holiday season is big in my house. We go out. We go do stuff. We go really.
He gonna get his real tree. Hold on. He gonna get his real tree.
Oh yes.
And be struggling to put it on his stand. And he gonna get it flocked. And he gonna almost burn the house down. I'm a firm believer in making an investment. Go get you a nice fake tree.
No.
But
no, sir.
$30 to $70 that I spent could last me a 10-year span. He gonna go spend his money on his real tree. And it don't smell the same. You could get the spray. And make it smell like that. But when we first met, I went over his house. He was trying to put a tree up. And I said, this brother's struggling. This brother's struggling.
I had a 7-foot tree. This brother just sat up there looking at me.
And I just sat and watched.
He just sat and watched. Said,
eating pizza, just like
I said, brother, sit up here and watch.
Let's see how this play out.
And Izzy was there too. Izzy sitting up there just looking. I'm getting the tree up, but you got to do the real tree. It's the smell of the tree. It's the flocking. It's all that stuff. If you want to have a Merry Christmas, and to this day, my kids, when it's time to go get that tree, they're excited about going to go get that tree. They are excited. So
my kids get excited about going to get the tree too. We go to the garage, get it out, and they get excited.
So y'all don't listen to him. I'm here trying to show you a more excellent way. All right, what we got to say in closing?
Sorry, I just got off track because you said Christmas. You was talking about Christmas though, because in those memories,
right?
All right, and that reminded me because of a story that I put up on my IG just to remind people to just enjoy the moment, live in it, because by the time you look up, that moment will become a memory. Right. So just soak it all in, bro. My kids to this day, like I said, because they got the goofy thing for me, they clown me because I'm goofy and sometimes I'm clumsy. So there's been times where I fell at the bowling alley. Yeah. There's been times at our old place out here, I'm walking down the stairs, fell, hurt both knees, I'm bleeding from the knee. And they always talk about, Dad, you remember when you fell? You remember this? And those are memories that they holding on to. And like you said, in the moment, I'm not thinking, oh, look, we're making memories.
Yeah.
I'm just enjoying, soaking it up, because there's going to come a time where the kids are out of the house. Yeah. They're trailblazing their own lives and their careers, or following their dreams and doing what God has called them to do and starting their own families. Yeah. And those memories will just be but a memory. So enjoy it while it lasts, because if I have not figured out one thing, it's this. I'm 32, right? That's not old in any, way, shape, or form. But when you think about 32 years and how quickly it's went by, life is but a vapor. Life is literally but a vapor. So make that memory. Go to the park. Plan the trip. book it. Go have a picnic. Go to that event. Enjoy the games while they last.
Yeah.
Go to those games. Sit up there, cheer for them. Do whatever you can in the moment and enjoy it, because you're not gonna always get it, bro.
And I would say too, and also for fathers, I want to encourage fathers, go through that season, go through the seasons of fatherhood. There's seasons to this.
Yeah.
There's seasons when you on the mountain, you know that you're doing well, you knocking it out the park. And then there's gonna come seasons that's very difficult. It's seasons where you may even feel like a failure. We all go through those seasons.
Yes.
It's like I've gone through those seasons where I was like, I am absolutely failing my family
Mhm.
in every way, shape, form, and fashion. Just being honest.
Mhm.
It's like I'm failing, and it's not. And I'm not talking about sin. I'm talking about there stuff should be better than what it is.
Yeah.
Something should be going. Stuff should be going on better. Like we should be in a better place by now. And so there's times where you just where you go through that. Or the things that's going on with your kids, and your kids are just sick, and you just go through that. Lord, what's going on? It's like we dealing with sickness after sickness, or this. Like, I'm completely just failing right now. Go through those seasons, because just like a marriage, just like in business, whatever it is, there's going to be seasons to it.
Yeah.
And you have to enjoy those seasons, because I'm telling you, even in the seasons that's tough, even in the seasons where you feel like I'm not going to make it, or I'm failing my family, in those seasons, the fact that you are in there with your family, you're in the fight with your family, you are present, and you are present with them.
Yeah.
In every shape, form, and fashion, because you're there with them, you're able to say, man, look at it. Because I'm telling you, the good days, the great days, and the days that's been tough, the days when it was like, oh my God, the days that we sit up at the ER, and we're praying, God, you got to get us out of this.
Come on.
The seasons where it was like, Lord, to be able to remind your children of, you remember when we went through that and God brought us out of that? It don't matter what we encounter, because God is still with us. The same God that got us through those episodes is the same God that's going to bring us out. So I want to encourage all fathers, go through those seasons of life, because you have to remember that while you are fathering, you also have a faithful father.
Yes, come on.
And you may have a faithful biological father, but I'm talking about your faithful spiritual father. That your faithful father is the Lord, our Lord and Savior.
Come on.
And he's a good father. He take care of his own. He provide for his own.
Yes.
That's all I got.
This has been As We Walk Podcast. We want to thank y'all. Y'all have a good one.